welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Kevin Reads Comics. This time we're going to be diving into issue number 2 of Devil Reads Dinosaurs? Hey, what's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Kevin Reads Comics. I'm Kevin, and today we're going to dive into Devil Dinosaur issue number 2. If you missed Devil Dinosaur issue number 1 from last episode, I'll put a card above and there'll be a link in the description below for you to check that out before you come back here and watch this video. So Devil Dinosaur issue number 2, it's got the same creative team. It was written, penciled, and edited by the one and only Jack the King Kirby, with inks and letters by Mike Royer. The colorist was Petra Goldberg, and Archie Goodwin got credit this time for being the resident anthropologist. This is a little bit of a shorter one this time, so let's just dive right in.
The last exciting episode of Devil Dinosaur. Moon-Boy, the first human, sees a bunch of hillbillies known as the Killer Folk messing with the young dinosaur. After those killer dummies set the dinosaur on fire, we discover that flames turn dinosaurs red. Moon-Boy suggests that the newly minted Devil Dinosaur might heal the wounds from his ordeal and forget about his recently murdered family by frolicking in a pond with him. The pair become good buds, and Moon-Boy tries to show off how cool he is by riding a red dinosaur into his village, where his tribe, the small folk, collectively say, "Oh hell no, not in my town," and kick them out. Moon-Boy gets sad about it, while the Killer Folk get pissed for letting the red dinosaur get away. In an attempt to see if more fire will turn Devil Dinosaur purple, they set the forest on fire, hoping to corral him into a pit full of big, sharp sticks. And now on to today's adventure. Devil Dinosaur, Issue 2. Starts by answering the question posed at the end of Issue 1. Were dinosaurs as smart as men? Well, the slightly weak answer is that in 750 million years, one of them was bound to learn something, and Moon-Boy is his homie and partner in Devil's War. Whatever. Let's just get to the action. Devil Dinosaur rushes to learn a lesson as Moon-Boy's like, "Dude, we're falling into a trap," as the Killer Folk lie in wait with their big sharp sticks. Devil Dino confidently leaps into the pit of stakes. "I can't look. What's gonna happen?" And wouldn't you know it, old Double D is just too mighty to be taken down by a bunch of sticks. He mocks the Killer Folk with a display of his big red caboose, and laughs at their failure. Then he beats the Duke out of those fools, and sets them Killer Folk to skedaddling. That ornery Sheriff Seven Scars ain't none too pleased. So he orders his deputies to cause a rock slide from some rubble boulders to bury Devil and Moon-Boy alive. And god darn it, they finally do something right, and knock our heroes plumb cold out. Noticing that Moon-Boy is still breathing, one of them killer hicks pulls him from the rubble and gives him the business end of his whooping stick. Seven Scars intervenes and says, "Hold up, let's give this varmint a slow death, and take him to the Cave of Longlegs. It'll be a granny slapping good time, y'all." And the crowd goes wild. Meanwhile, the forest has been on fire since last episode. But who cares? Because there's some movement under the rubble pile. Haha, guess who? Now let's get back to them Killer Folk who've tied poor Moon-Boy up outside the cave of that mean old Longlegs. Moon-Boy's sure in a predicament now, and them Killer Folk are happier than a puppy with two winkies. But wait, what in tarnation's all that racket? Why, it's Devil Dinosaur with some fire from the burning forest. Someone's in a whole heap of trouble now. Devil D sets those bee-holes to the flame, and, with a tiny powerful arm, pulls Moon-Boy to safety. Before they bounce out, there's one more thing left to do. Nah, there he is. Devil Dinosaur raises his giant foot over Seven Scars and... later days. The surviving killer dum-dums decide to seek shelter from Devil Dinosaur and the encroaching fire in the Cave of Longlegs. I guess they forgot. There's a ding-dang giant hungry spider in there. Idiots. Moon-Boy decides that they've had a pretty rad time today. Devil Dinosaur guffaws in agreement, and the pair ride off into the night to seek fame and fortune elsewhere. But who's that either wearing a showgirl-style headdress, or maybe just spying on them from the bushes? Every legend has its roots somewhere in the dim past. Before Samson, Hercules, and the mighty Thor, there must have been the giant. Who the hell's that?
And there you have it. That's the first story arc from the Devil Dinosaur series. It's a bit shorter this time, and that's because I feel like there was a lot of filler in this issue. There was a whole sequence, for example, when Devil Dinosaur comes out of the rubble. He's gonna go fight the killer folk, save Moon-Boy and all that stuff, but he just has this random encounter with another dinosaur, and they duke it out for a couple pages. And that's a lot of real estate in a little floppy comic. It has no bearing on the story. It doesn't do anything to propel even the character of Devil Dinosaur forward. And there's a couple other moments like that. It just kind of slows the action up. It kind of stops the plot a little bit. I mean, it's exciting to see dinosaurs fight, don't get me wrong. But it did stop the story. And it pains me to say it, as much of a fan of Jack Kirby as I am, but there were moments, and I think I mentioned it in the last episode, where I was afraid that maybe because of Jack Kirby's big hex with Marvel Comics at the time, that he might have done a little phoning things in. And yes, Mike Royer did the inks, so he's part of the art team there. But there were some panels in there that seemed very rushed. And, I wasn't there at the time. I was a small child. Could have been because of deadlines. Just let's get this over with and get out of Marvel and, go do the Fourth World over at DC. Or something like that. And what they did do that has happened also in issue 1 and issue 2 is splash pages. First page, big image, which is very common for the time. You had the cover, sort of the movie poster, and then the splash page is kind of the trailer. And then often you just get into the story. But in issue 1 and issue 2 of Devil Dinosaur, you get the splash page, then you open it up, and instead of getting right into the story, there's a double page spread. I gotta think a little bit that is kind of more filler to kind of make up for maybe a little bit of lack of story, and to also just get these comics out. Now, I mentioned that some of the panels seemed like the art was a little bit phoned in, a little rushed. However, though, I think to make up for kind of lack of story and needing to put in this filler material to pad the comics, that is where Jack Kirby and Mike Royer in the art department really got to sing. I mean, those double page spreads are just pure 1970s comic book gold, especially the splash page in issue number 2. I thought it was fantastic. Devil Dinosaur's pose is dynamic as he's jumping into this pit of spikes. The look on all the killer folk around him, just beautiful piece of comic book art. Okay, so my assessment of this story arc and this issue in particular, in number 2, because of the filler and just such a basic story. So far, I'm going to give this series 3 out of 5 Devil Dinosaurs. If it wasn't for Jack Kirby's art and some of the inks that Mike Royer did, looking so rad, I probably would have given it a 2. It's just okay. Now, I think it's going to get more awesome. I peeked ahead a little bit, and it looks like it's going to get a little bit more bat deuce crazy. Now, despite the lackluster plot, the filler material, and some of the art being rushed, I am going to give Devil Dinosaur a fun factor rating of 4 out of 5 Moon-Boys. Because despite everything that I said, it is still ridiculous. And that is what I'm looking for. So it's still a lot of fun to read. And if you'd like to get ahead before I get to the remaining 7 issues, I will put a link down below so that you can pick up one of the collected editions at Amazon. Now, with all that said, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from Devil Dinosaur. I will get back to it for sure. And I'm going to be moving on to another comic for a little bit, another one of my childhood favorites. So in the next episode, we will be checking out Moon Knight, issue number 1. Now, this is the first issue of his very first solo series. I know he started off in Werewolf by Night number 1 as kind of a villain, and then I think he was kind of like a C-list side character who would show up in a couple other comics. And as people got more interested in him, I think the title was Marvel Showcase, he got a couple issues where he got to star, and I guess it was kind of his tryout comic to see if he would get his own series. And that's where I started with Moon Knight, so that's why we're starting with his first solo series, issue number 1. Let me know in the comments if you're a Moon Knight fan, which brings up that on the last episode of Kevin Reads Comics, my first one, my inaugural, can I speak? On my first one, I got a lot of really rad comments, and I really appreciate it, because I was a bit worried, because I know on my channel, being an art channel primarily, I felt like I was taking kind of a big chance with it. And they're also way more time consuming than the art videos, believe it or not. So please keep those comments coming, hit that like button. If there's somebody in your life that you think might enjoy this kind of content, please share it with them as well, and I'd appreciate that too. Alright, I'm going to take off. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, be good and take care of yourself.